And we're back. Good Earth spin. Greetings, world. Hello to everybody on your path, your unique path that we're all on. Today's number 9 today. And today's kin signature Red Rhythmic Serpent. I organize in order to survive. Balancing instinct. I seal the store of life force with the rhythmic tone of equality. I am guided by my own power doubled. So that's tone 6, Serpent, and we're in the Sun Wave spell, which began with the Ankh staff, and this is a living mystery. Welcome to a living mystery. This is both my own experience and a shared experience. I'm not saying I have all the answers. That's why I'm trying to share this information. We can talk about the ramifications after the solstice, because there'll be an episode every day. They all equally deserve our attention, really, in my honest opinion. So, day 9. Day 9 is one very close to my own heart, the Hermit, and he's there holding the lantern. In my own interpretation, that's the Hermit holding the light of Gnosis, helping other people to see where they cannot. And so it is, 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 yes it is, and so it is, and so it is, Cosmic reality, formulas, patterns, nature talking to us. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Re-establish fields. The fields are established. The fields are established now. They're solid. Best be. So I'm going to give you a magic symbol now. A bit of a curious one. What does this mean? You can actually find the symbol at the bottom of your passport in some countries, what it actually means in alchemical terms. Well, these are the sorts of things that will be revealed to you if you're one of the determined, dedicated daily watchers who collect all the symbols. Day 9. Huh? How did Tank get here? How'd you get there, Tank? Apparently the Arcturians left Tank down here for me to find. Oh, okay. One a bit more intense. Tank says, really need to get a grip, and 13 moons of peace is the future. Tank says so. So you're going to have to argue with Tank now. I've talked to thousands of people. None of them have come up with any sort of scientific reason why we shouldn't change the calendar. So you're going to have to argue with Tank now. Yeah? Tank says we've got to change the calendar. So, yeah. Okay. Right, yeah. Okay, so just going to get one of the time boards out, and back in a second. And we're back. So we got Tank here. He wants to share with us some things that really concern him. So, number one, massive oil spills from oil rigs and tankers. What a disaster. Ecocide, species dying in the millions, the bees. Why is that all happening then? Yeah, these things really concern Tank. I don't know what you're going to be able to say to Tank. So, crime, overfishing the fish, run out of fish. Well, you know, Sparky was talking to us about that at the beginning. What do you have to say, humans? Now, has everybody heard of the genocide Bikini Island, where they detonated nuclear bombs tests without telling people of the local islands, and they all got irradiated? Did you know that's where the word bikini comes from? There's documentaries about it if you look it up. Tank's very concerned about that. More ecocide, nuclear weapons tests, death of corals. So, what really causes the corals to die off? Is it just CO2? Is that the only culprit here? Yeah, the thousands of nuclear weapons that we've blown up, and all the radiation around the planet that's got nothing to do with it, yeah? War crimes, no man's land filled with mines, depleted uranium cluster bombs that haven't gone off. These are war crimes, yeah? According to the Galactic Council, this planet has been quarantined for this very reason. There's a virus here, it's called amnesia, and most people have got it. Especially if you think if you don't have it, you probably have it. Because most of us have it, you know. Me too, yeah. I have moments, you know. So, that's pretty intense, isn't it? So, are giant icebergs coming to get us? Right. I guess there's a bit of Tank's humour coming in here. Yeah, things can change very quickly in terms of geological time, but we still have time, and yet, you know, if the lies that have been perpetuated are true, we maybe don't have as much time as we think, but we definitely have time. So, you know, giant icebergs, well, may take a bit of time to get here. Are corals immortal beings, or do they die too and are reborn? Yeah, that's a very good point. A lot of the corals and the focus on the corals, they're pretty hardy. They do actually come back. I'm not trying to say that the people that destroy them don't need to be held accountable, but just like humans, you know, and every other species, their will to survive supersedes all the other things. Yeah? Fight or flight kicks in. And then nobody can stand in your way. Isn't that right, Tank? That's right. They messing with me like... Look into my eye. And ocean acidity, okay, well that's one of the cycles I mentioned during episode 6. Obviously I found a 60-year temperature cycle first, but that led me to the ocean acidity cycle. And it's worth noting that in order for the ocean actually to become acidic, it actually has to go beneath pH 7. So when you're doing your research, have a look into this kind of stuff. It'd be good to have a few more minds active on this research. So, there's a bit more intensity for you from Tank. He's obviously wanting people to pay attention. So, 13 moons of peace on a turtle shell. Couldn't be more obvious, nature talking to us. Yes, no, this does actually happen in reality. If you go and look up different turtle species, there's a particular one that has this exact pattern. Yep. Right. Okay. I actually love you very much, you know, but, you know, humans have this thing and they don't really listen, and, you know, I'm Tank, so you better listen to me. You can't mess with me. I'm nature, just as much nature as you are. In fact, you know, I come from this place called the oceans, and they're bigger than you. Much bigger. Okay? Okay. Okay. Okay, Horace, come on. Huh? Okay, Horace, better just get you realigned there. Hopefully that looks good. Okay. So I'm just gonna wipe the board back in a second. Excellent, and it's a red day, so I've got my red smoothie. Nom nom nom. Okay. There we go. A bit more zoomage. It's a red pen. So there we go, that's some of the numbers for today. And what we're talking about here is the interaction of we're talking about the interaction of the sidereal or tropical lunation with the anomalistic. And that's basically how long it takes the tides to recycle or become exactly one cycle apart. Because as you can see, 118.5, 117.5. This here, that's years. That's years there. And when you multiply it by 7, you get 62. So you can start to see how the fractal connects up. And I've started to call these codes Ptah codes, because basically we're talking about the pH to AH, where the T is the cross in the middle. So Ptah, Ptah. Where do these names come from? Who was Ptah? I talk about Ptah at the beginning when I'm talking about the egg-shaped orbit of the Earth around the Sun. Here we're talking about the egg-shaped orbit of the Moon around the Earth. And this is a fractal, and these codes, the codes in my book, the codes of our ancestors, codes of nature, are more real, more realistic than the Gregorian calendar. Okay? That's what I'm scientifically proving here. Yes? The only difference is science is very compartmentalized, just like the military and politics and economics. And I'm a fractal wizard, so I connect it all together. And I find missing pieces that people have tried to destroy and burn certain pieces so that the puzzle can be completed. I've found those pieces again. That's my truth, my life path. So, Ptah. Hermit, the tides, the 9-year cycle, rounded up, 8.864. That's one of the ways the calculation can be done. Now obviously I'm using rounded decimals so it can fit on the screen, and all the numbers need to be double checked and triple checked and quadruple checked. So the tides, if you're someone who likes books, this is a very good book. Moon Rhythms in Nature, How Lunar Cycles Affect Living Organisms. It's something I learned quite, what's the right word? Matter-of-factly, when I was studying and got my permaculture diploma. We went to visit a site and they were chopping down bamboo, and they only chop it on a particular day of the lunation, because that's when it's best to do it. Obviously only people who actually live in nature know about this. People who live in cities, which are predominantly run on the Gregorian calendar, are generally ignorant of these things. Not out of their own stupidity, but because our society has gone out of its way to hide these things and belittle them and pretend they have no meaning, which is the complete opposite, really, isn't it? There's a little message here. It says, science is never entirely settled. Yeah? Rather, investigate further. Okay? Dig a little deeper. See what you find. Right. Well, I'm going to go put the projector on. Back in a second. And we're back. Hello. So, need to give credit where credit's due. So another individual to look up is David Dilley. And I will call him Sir David Dilley in my presentation. So that's David Dilley, Dilley, if I'm remembering the spelling correctly. So some of these pictures are from his research. Okay. So this one is talking about pulses, lunar solar gravitational tidal forcing, 9-year cycle. So 9-year cycle, that's another graphic talking about similar sort of stuff, and he connects it up with a 72-year cycle. Here is one that's covering 18.5, and that has obviously 9 as the halfway mark of that one. This is just some information about waves, you know. I'm talking about nature. It builds up and builds up and builds up. That's what happens in nature. We've got evidence for that, pretty matter of factly, haven't we? What's this one? This is the 60-year cycle to do with Indian summer monsoon rainfall. So there's that 60 to 62-year cycle. Please remember that a lot of scientists online like to round numbers. For some reason they think that's clever. Anyway. Here is 925. Wow. Which is 185 times 5. Here you can see the name of the website you want to look for is Global Weather Oscillations. Wow, this one's fairly crazy one. Look at that one. Wow. So we've got a 62 to 75. We've got a 30. 53 with the 9s in there too. So someone that's obviously done this one trying to match up all of these cycles together. That's pretty cool. And it says AMO at the top, which stands for Atlantic Multi-Decadal Oscillation. Here's a graphic again from David Dilley's documentaries. 72-year cycle he's talking about, and there being warm water pulses every 9 years into the Arctic, so underneath the ice. So there's those warm pulses again, and then this is just you know, pretty basic physics really, these various waveform oscillations, mathematical formulas, how things repeat and how they undulate and fluctuate. Very important. Oh yeah, this is quite an interesting one. Did you know that I think it's at least 2/3 of the world population live on the coast? So if you've watched any of my other episodes, I talk about biomes and I talk about how humans are essentially a biome. Yeah, science says we're a coastal biome. That's where we live, on the coast, around the world. That's where the predominance of humans exist. 2/3 of the human population around the coasts. Here's a graphic out of that book talking about the tides around Britain, or as I like and prefer to call it, the Emerald Isles. That's where I'm from, really, because that's the true name of this set of islands before various people laid claim to them. The land themselves have their own name, and in my meditations, when I tune in, Emerald Isles, that's what this land would like to be called. So all the fake versions that came after, who various bloodlines and people in positions of power seem to think they own the world, well, you're wrong. Couldn't be more wrong. These are sacred lands. Every land is sacred and holy in its true form. So time to clean up the mess, humans, eh? Yeah? Time to become an actual environmentalist. Go and grab a bike, sell your car, get some exercise. It'll be good for you and the planet. So these are older images to do with how we measured tides before we had all digital stuff. So actual hermits would be living near these places and they'd go and measure these various cycles using weights. Here's a more digital, more advanced, newer one. Here we have standing waves to do with the tides. There's some more facts about tides. Basically that's what today's about, is the tides and the waves. And today's red rhythmic serpent. Yeah. Got my serpent outfit on. There we go. You see the serpent on there? Yeah. Serpent. So, Serpent Day, oceans, waves. Giving you your magic symbol. Cyrus.org, infinitycodes.net. The truth will set us free. If it doesn't, it's not the truth. May infinite healing go where it is needed the most. Blessed be. See you tomorrow. Ooh, a little bit of extra footage actually. I thought it'd be worthwhile just to check everybody knows where to access the Lunar codes section. So if you're at the Infinity Codes homepage, if you go to Fractal Contents, and then down, and to the right, here, Infinity Codes Archive, and then here, if you click on the moon, you get many different lunar cycles. So there's a lot to investigate there. Obviously I don't actually specifically talk about the 9 because well, this is the point, is to try and extrapolate all the details even more. Here I'm mainly talking about the 18, which is, obviously we'll be getting back to that later. But, lots of website addresses and pages to investigate and numbers, and yeah, I'm not here to convince you of anything. Please check the maths and make up your mind. Flexibly.